wrestling fan that is I, Steve Fall, and welcome to 10 Count. On today's edition, I am talking to the man who's going to get back his North American Championship. It's the Great American Bash on July 30th. It's Wesley. How are you doing today?
I am doing great, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing great. Now, let's talk about that North American Championship, because recently, you kind of got screwed a little bit. Judgment Day, now in NXT, running roughshod, and you lost to Dirty Dom. How are you feeling about this?
Upset, but it's hard to not have a smile on my face because I have an opportunity to get her back. If I didn't have that, then that's when you would see me all distraught, head hanging down, sad, things like that. But I have an opportunity to get her back. And at the Great American Bash, myself, Mustafa Ali, and Dirty Dom are going to we're gonna fight. I'm ready to sock him in his mouth. just right in his suckhole, and just something about his face. I just want to hit it.
Something about it, yeah. And how do you feel about that? How does NXT locker room feel about that? Having Raw and SmackDown superstars appear in NXT. Obviously, the ratings are showing that it's doing well, but how does the locker room feel?
The locker room, they're excited about it. A lot of the younger guys that are here, they never got the chance to meet some of these people. So it's a new experience being able to see somebody that has such a long tenure and a bit more prestige to their name in a way. I mean, not to say me walking the halls isn't special, but seeing somebody on Raw and SmackDown definitely puts them in a different kind of echelon. And having them down here is bringing a different kind of vibe. It's a bit of uncertainty because you don't know if you're going to be called out next. But at the same time, it's exciting because you might get a chance to be called out next and get to test yourself against some of the best. So it is really dope, but again, just a little unsettling.
Of course. Now, is there someone from Raw and SmackDown that you want to appear in NXT so you can have a one-on-one match with?
Yeah, there's a number of people, actually. I mean, AJ Styles, Cedric Alexander. I've had a match with them before, but it was a long time in the past. But Ricochet. Who else? Yeah, there's a number of people. Chad Gable. Yeah, even though he tried to swing at me and he missed, I'd really love to go against Damian Priest. Mr. Senior Money in the Bank. But nah, there's a number of people. I think we'd be sitting here all day, me naming out the entire roster.
I was gonna say we'll go to the roster. Let's start with A and move down to Z. I like it I love it so much because it's so much happening right now with NXT because for so long it was the developmental territory. Then it became the third brand. And then COVID kind of switched it back to being, all right, we're Performance Center again. Let's get back down to the roots. Now it feels like we're back to this third brand situation. How do you feel NXT is positioned? Because you have Raw and SmackDown. Obviously, those are the notoriety. That's what everyone knows. NXT has been around for a very long time, but I feel like it's getting just like juice going one more time.
It's I believe it's the vibe. Like everybody down here is extremely hungry to get to the main roster, being Raw and SmackDown. But with this kind of being built in a way to be like a third brand, it's like, I want to become the best here as well. Like if I become the best here, then it's going to make it easier for me to become the best up there as well, because the people that were the best down here originally moved up there and they became the best as well. We have Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Finn Balor, Damian Priest, Seth Rollins, everybody. Roman Reigns. Like everybody came through NXT, dominated down here, and then they made their way to the main roster and did the same thing. So people would 100% have the mentality of, hey, become the biggest thing that you can in NXT so that you can go up to Raw and SmackDown and do the same thing. But hey, being the biggest thing here is in a way starting to become just as big. So as we continue to progress with NXT and continue to elevate this to the level that it's starting to become, it's just great. It's really nice being on the forefront and on the front lines of this, being one of the few that's leading the charge of putting a new revitalization on NXT, and it feels great.
Right, because we've seen so many, I guess, versions. We had 2.0, we had Black and Gold, we had so many different levels. And you kind of brought up, though, like NXT wrestlers started, NXT, went to Raw and SmackDown, Rollins, Reigns, other names like that. But in reality, could you see NXT becoming, its third brand? Obviously, it already is. But beyond that, going to arenas, selling out 10,000 on every Tuesday, traveling the country, because NXT, I feel like, is traveling, doing house shows, but having its own weekly show, traveling, selling out 10K arenas, is that a possibility? I believe it is, with the proper, advertising and promotion.
I do believe so as well, especially as the crop of guys and girls that are down here continues to get better. Yes, this still has a very much developmental aspect to it because a lot of the young individuals here are within like the first 1 to 2 years of their career. So you're not going to be up on the main roster dominating like a lot of people would think that you would be when you first get in here. So you need to take that time to learn, hone your craft, and fine tune so that you can be able to dominate in the future. But in regards to if it can sell out the arenas on a weekly basis, I think so. As everybody continues to grow, make that splash and showcase more of who they are, and fans are able to connect with them more, I believe it can.
Yeah, I you go back to the days when NXT first went on the road for their premium live events. Brooklyn is a perfect example of going back when it was Bayley and Sasha Banks, and you had all these Finn Balor and Kevin Owens and Nakamura and Sami Zayn. It was selling out. It wasn't a problem. It wasn't, oh, can we do this? It was, we obviously will do this. We don't have enough seats for everyone who wants to be here.
Where's the next place for us to sell out? That became kind of the next question. Like, yes. Where do you want to see NXT next?
Of course. And then the WWE does present NXT Great American Bash July 30th on NBC's Peacock. Now, what can fans expect from this event?
You are going to see, again, the next crop of superstars doing what they do best. But it's going to be in a way that you may not have seen before because, again, new crop of people, new kinds of moves, new kinds of personalities, different kind of grandiose. And hey, we out the house now. We traveling. So we're going to be acting a little bit more wild than what we normally do here at the Performance Center. So, like, you got to watch. See what's about to happen, especially my match. I'm about to win that championship back.
Of course. Now, how do you look at Dom? Like, Dirty Dom Mysterio. This guy came in.
I look at him like this.
Don't take my words, little. No, you think about it, and when he came in during the pandemic with being the son of Rey Mysterio or Eddie Guerrero, depending on what time frame you want to live in, and yet here we are in today's world. He is no longer looked at as, hey, that's Rey Mysterio's son. That is Dirty Dom. Like, that is a whole different aspect to him. You're in the ring with him. You experienced him. What is it like? Because it feels like right now he puts a mic in his hand, everyone boos him. Raw, NXT, SmackDown. I know it's about you, but he recently main evented Raw, NXT, and SmackDown, and that's the only person who's ever done that in the history of the WWE. Now, how do you feel being in the ring with him?
In a way, honored. I'll say that. I've gone on record before to be man enough to say he deserves his kudos. Like, it's very, very difficult to grow within this business, and to have the pressure of being a living legend's son, and then to be brought in borderline at the top of the crop, and have to live up to expectations, thrive and stand out on your own, and then find a way for you to stand outside of your father's shadow. It's very difficult. Like, as human beings, we do that growing up with our fathers. Can't imagine doing it under the limelight of the entire world. So for him to grow and expand upon himself and become what he is today, I got to tip my hat to him if I was wearing one. But at the same time, I feel you could have done it in a different way. You didn't have to necessarily go to the level of disrespecting your father, spitting on his legacy so that you can create your own. But in the process, he's building his own legacy. Like you said, when people hear Mysterio, they know of Rey, but they also now know of Dirty Dom. So I feel that he's definitely taking the steps necessary for him to separate himself from his father's shadow and is starting to prove that he can stand on his own. Well, when he has the crutches of the Judgment Day. But he is at least able to stand on his own outside of his father's shadow.
Of course. And I do enjoy the Judgment Day, obviously, but I was in London for Money in the Bank, and I asked Damian Priest about Bad Bunny, and he whipped a T-shirt at my face. So, we'll leave it at that. We'll leave it at that. That did blow up, and TMZ did pick that up. So, you're welcome, Damian Priest. You are welcome. Now, for many years, NXT was having an event, say on a Saturday, and then the WWE Raw and SmackDown would have a pay-per-view the next day. We have July 30th is Great American Bash. Then a week later, on August 5th, you have SummerSlam. Now, for a long time, people would compare NXT to main roster and be like, oh, well, that event was better. How do you feel going into this? Is there a chip on the NXT roster shoulder being like, yeah, that's SummerSlam, but we're going to show you up on the Great American Bash July 30th on NBC's Peacock?
I mean, we have that mentality no matter who we're going up against, because we have that mentality when we're going up against each other. On a day-to-day basis, we have a very healthy amount of healthy competition between each other. When we see somebody else progress, it pushes us to want to progress as well. And as we are all starting to make waves in our own different way, we're all realizing that we're contributing to a great product, which is NXT. And from start to finish, everybody has that mindset of let's tear the house down and create something that is so unique that they cannot compare it to other stuff. It's a standalone thing. So in regards to comparing shows between NXT, Raw, and SmackDown, they're all their own different beasts, but they all are great. And if you take the time to analyze, separate yourself, and really dive into what they are, they're beautiful masterpieces.
Of course. Now, speaking of masterpieces, I put out a call. Hey, I'm going to interview you, Wesley. And people were saying, oh, let's bring some questions. So I talked to Victor Perry. He's a teacher, the wrestling club, Kip Amp Middle School. These kids wanted to ask you a question. So this is the question they want to send in. They asked, what were some challenges that you faced being that you are a smaller wrestler compared to others? What has been your mindset when dealing with this?
Well, I've always been somewhat of a smaller guy in life. So I've always had the aspect of, I don't want to say like a Napoleon complex, but like just I need to prove myself a little bit more because I'm already facing a certain amount of doubt. And that doubt has always been like a driving force, not only to prove other people wrong, but to prove myself wrong when I have an idea in my head that I can or cannot do something. When I push myself, it's very seldom that I am not able to reach my goal. And when I initially started out in professional wrestling, I did not know what my goals were going to be. I just wanted to do this to see if I could do it. It was a childhood dream. I had the opportunity to make it happen, and then we'll see where it goes. And as things started to progress, I started to really, really grow even more into this, and people really started to like me. I realized that I can actually do this, and I can start setting goals and start giving myself things to strive for so that I can have a little bit more of a driving force other than this is my dream. And yeah, it's gotten to a point now where I just feel that I'm having a lot of fun. And the fun is starting to make the goals become that much realistic, and I'm believing in myself. And that's something that I hope that other people are able to take away from that as well. Like you never know what you're capable of until you give it a try. I've been to college. I've been in the military. I've served food. I've worked as a salesperson. I excelled in every single thing that I did, but not everything had my heart like this. So when you find something that has your heart, follow it and give it your all.
Well, I think that's a good answer for those kids. So, I think they'll enjoy that. I think they might scream and yell, and there'll be a video at some point watching this. Though, a couple more questions though. One is they had the draft, the WWE Draft happened a little while ago, and I talked to Carmelo Hayes about this, and I asked, were you disappointed not hearing your name? Were you feeling that as well? Because some people got their names called and they were very surprised to hear it. Others were like, yeah, I knew I deserved to be here. Grayson Waller is one who said that, but yet I wonder why. But with you, what were your feelings that night? Were you hoping? Did you not care? What were your emotions?
I was a bit indifferent, if that's a good representation of it. I wanted to be on the main roster so that I could prove myself against the best, but at the same time, I was the NXT North American champion, and I was on a path of a historic run, and I also didn't want that to end. And if you get called up and you are a champion, you relinquish your championship. So I didn't want that to be the way that my title reign came to an end. If I was defeated, if I lost my championship, I wanted it to be to an opponent that I actually lost to, not like last week. But sorry, bad memories just popping up. But I did want to get called up, but I was not hurt as badly as I thought I would be when my name was not called. Yeah.
Because Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, they got called up. They were the NXT Women's Tag Team Champions at the time, and luckily they didn't relinquish their championships. Though they did eventually.
They got lucky.
They unified them with Ronda and Shayna, and then that happened. So in reality, they got called up. They kept the championships, but eventually they did lose them. So maybe the pathway would be a little different from you with Dirty Dom screwing you over in Judgment Day. But all I have to say is I am so pumped for the Great American Bash on July 30th. You, Ali, Dirty Dom. People talk about, oh, this will be a good match. No, this is not going to be a good match. This is going to be a great match. This is going to be one of those. It's going to be one of those matches where people are like, it's very hard to not say this is match of the night. So when you're going into situations like this, because again, people love you on the internet. People. I knew you from the Rascal days. I know you from NXT days. Oh yeah, a little Trey Miguel. So there's a lot going on there. But yet, when you're going into situations like this, what is the pressure? Because people expect you now to have great matches, not just, oh, he's good at wrestling. They expect you to have great matches.
I mean, I expect myself to as well. So I hold myself to a certain standard. I know what I bring to the table. I know what my strengths are, what my weaknesses are, and I'm always going to do my best to highlight my strengths, as everybody should. But I'm also not one to shy away from my weaknesses and show that I am still trying to grow within those. I love the expectation that I'm going to have a great match. I love that because I love the pressure in a way. That pressure pushes you to be a little bit more on point. It makes you think a little bit more, but not overthink. Mm-hmm. It makes you assess your situations and properly formulate that game plan. I love that. Taking it back to my military time period, it's you find your game plan, you have your plan A, B, and if you need to, a C. I'm definitely going to have all the way down to Z for this match because every single person in that match wants this. I want this. Mustafa wants this. Dom wants this. Dom has the Judgment Day. Mustafa has just years of pent-up aggression that he is ready to truly let out because he has not been able to capture a championship. I know what that feels like. To be on the administering end of that, to be on the receiving end of that, I'll talk to you after the match. But I understand the passion that he has going into this. But they don't know how I feel about this. And they're going to find out at the Great American Bash when I give them every single bit that I have. They're going to have to carry me out of that ring. They're going to, if I do not walk out of there with that championship on my shoulder, they're going to have to carry me out of that ring.
Well, we'll have to see how that goes down, but I have a feeling we're going to have a new North American Championship this coming weekend. Great American Bash, July 30th on NBC's Peacock. I'm pumped. You're pumped. We are all pumped. And it's been a pleasure talking to you today right here on 10 count. I've been Steve Fall. He's going to be the new champion coming up this weekend. Wes Lee, hopefully you and Dragon Lee can get together too someday. You know, there's always more than one royal family here in professional wrestling. The Lee family. Also, you can be managed by Tennessee Lee, a.k.a. Colonel Parker. I've been Steve Fall. He's Wesley. Have a great day, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.